Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is April, and this is my channel where I channel. These messages come from my best version. These messages come from the person who loves herself, who has done the work to dig in and wishes to teach other people how to. Oh, my voice made a robotic noise when I said other. These messages are being guided so that I can help the collective step into their true power, their true light, the true version of themselves, not the one that has been hidden behind the facade, behind the mask, behind the makeup, behind the persona that you developed to keep yourself safe. My journey has led me through those darknesses. I used to put any person in front of me as a shield. I used to hide behind every person. I was in the thick of active addiction. I had loose morals and boundaries. I don't necessarily say I have firm boundaries now, because now I respect that every person is on a different trajectory. I don't need a boundary. I just... I understand that people don't intentionally try to hurt you. They're either part of my life or they're not part of my life. It's not a boundary. I'm not putting up a boundary. Boundaries are, I believe, yes, boundaries can be good for a time, for a situation, for a healing process. But once you've proceeded through, you don't really need your boundaries anymore. I can see from a higher perspective of why people might have treated me the way they did, why people treated me dirty. Why? Because I treated myself dirty. And I don't do that anymore. I don't do that. I've come out of my self-harm phase. I've come out of the phase of being afraid to have an emotion. I'm a human being. We are emotional creatures. Is there more here? Yes. Society would like us to pretend that our emotions don't exist. And this is so that we can please those people around us that haven't dealt with their own emotions. So when you come up against a person that is having an issue with you having emotions, that's not an issue with you, that's an issue with the ability you have to express your emotionality. So, many people in life, from the way that they've been taught, from the way that they've been raised, from the from the way they haven't been raised, from the lack of accountability their parents had or their caregivers had, determines how you move through these dark cycles, these densities. Now, a lot of people think that it's okay for social drinking. It's no big deal. It's just social drinking. But social drinking leads to heavy drinking. Social drinking leads to binge drinking. Binge drinking leads to self-harm, self-hate. It leads to hiding feelings of unworthiness or burying your emotions and dealing with them later. When you're drunk and you come up with these emotions, most of the time you're not able to handle them in your drunken state. Therefore, they're going to have to resurface later. Therefore, we stuff them down. A lot of society is taught to bury their emotions. But we're emotional creatures. It just doesn't make sense in my mind. The Two of Swords, the Tower. To me, this looks like a tower of truth that nobody saw coming. This looks like getting pushed over the edge. We were standing on the edge of this cliff. This is like fool energy, but this fool is only a torso. This fool is only a portion of the being itself. This fool is got no arms. This person has no arms, no face, no sight. The sword is, it doesn't even look like a person now that I look at it. It doesn't look like a person at all. It looks like a rock. Who is that? Where is that when the sword gets stuck in the rock? What is that? And only the one person can get this sword out. On the back, it doesn't look like a sword either. It's choice, renouncing emotions, and analysis of a situation. Renouncing emotions. And then this is ruin, despair, and confusion. Exactly what I'm talking about. So together, this number, this 2 and this 16 is an 18, and the 18 is the shadow. The shadow is the place where I was talking about, the dark place where all these emotions get stored when we don't want to take care of them. We just put them over there in the closet. This is where the skeletons in the closet idea comes from, because we just put that over there. We just put sweeping it under the rug. This is where this comes from. We just put it under there and then nobody can see it, even though the rug has a big hump of gunk under it that nobody's taken a look at. The Two of Swords is a tricky energy for me because it's usually tapping into the intuition. So it doesn't really ever feel like a bad card to me. It always feels like learning how to trust your own mind, learning how to trust your own insight, learning, because the blindfold is on, so you have to, you still have to take steps forward, but you're doing it without your vision. And the Tower, this is just like, you've known for a long time that the things in your life aren't working. You've known for a long time that you've been death. There needs to be a transformation. Death in this instance isn't literal death. Death in this instance is a barrier, a fear, or a dilemma. Aren't we looking at a dilemma here? Oh, analysis of a situation. This is coming out of the bramble. This is coming out, being able to take a higher perspective of why you've landed in this thorny bush, why you've landed in this, what is it called? A thicket. You're in this thicket because you never dealt with your emotions. You've never mentally processed the feelings that you've been experiencing for your whole life. Now, when I was going through my I went through my awakening in 2012. Sorry, 2012. I got the call before in 2009, but I didn't answer the call until 2012 because I was in a bad way. I didn't know how I was going to make my life any different than what it was. In 2012, I changed totally. I gave up 2 addictions like bam, and I decided it was time to become a mother because I had been ignoring that part of myself because I was too enthralled in addiction. I was selfish. I was being selfish. I also didn't ever want to become a single mother, and I didn't want to be responsible for another human. We'll leave that for a second. Now I realize those were all selfish ways. Those were all selfish ideas. Those were all ideas planted into my mind by other people because of the state of my life. I would never have been able to handle a child at that time, but again, we're not given anything more than we can handle. So it's all how you look at it. It's all how you look at it. I wasn't ready at that time. I decided I was ready. I found a partner. I found a mate that I admitted fully I was ready to do this, and I was looking for a partner that was ready to do this. I thought that's what was going to go down. That's not what went down. My biggest fear came true, and I am a single mother because that's where my focus was. That's what I was projecting into the world. I don't want to be a single mother, but the universe just sees where our direction is focused. So I was focused on that, and that's what came of me. I understand now in the position that I'm in, when you have a biggest, deepest fear, that's what you call to yourself because you're giving it attention. But I digress. Where are we here? Oh, in 2019, my relationship dissolved. So it was sudden, and it changed everything. And I accepted that happened. But what I didn't do, what I wasn't doing with my spiritual journey, with my awakening, with my becoming this better version of myself, what I wasn't doing was processing the emotions. So I think it was, I don't think it was until 2021. And I had been doing all this, what I thought was shadow work. I had been doing all this spiritual development. I had been meditating and going within and doing all the things. But I was just like skimming the surface. I wasn't actually getting into the issues or the emotions of it. And I had, oh my God, I want to say it was like a 3-week period where I could not see through my tears, where I could not take care of myself or take care of my child. And I had to rely on his dad to come and allow me to go through my process of uncovering all the hidden emotions. I don't know if he ever even really understood what I was going through. But allowing myself to process all the emotions that were stuck in my body, well, a lot of them, I'm gonna say a lot of them, was something that was very beneficial to freeing myself freeing myself from repeating those cycles, freeing myself, like, this is like the hyperventilation cry, the sobbing, the uncontrollable waves of all. I think that it was my family, every emotion my family line had suppressed throughout the whole time that we've been on Earth. Yes, yes. So if we're not willing to look, if we're just renouncing our emotions, if every person in our family is just renouncing our emotions, every time we have an emotion, we get cut down, we get looked at, we get judged. I'm getting the smell of death. We're given that emotion so we can transform it into something else, so we can use the alchemy process that is deep within us for transformation. Now, when the death card came out, and when I was talking about this shadow here, the moon card showed itself right here, the shadow. The moon card is not considered a shadow card. It is illusion, dream, and listening. Now that intuition here, the listening to your mind, or allowing your mind to be heard. This Two of Swords, when I said you go into your intuition, you have to go into your inner knowing because you're blindfolded. On the other side here, we have healing the shadow, the Four of Swords. And in this deck, it is silence, need for solitude, and need for reflection. So there's something deep within the shadow, deep within the dream world, deep within the inner being that is asking to be witnessed, asking to be drawn to the surface, asking to be transformed, asking to be brought to the forefront of the mind so it can be processed. Because you're going to continue finding yourself in this cycle if you neglect to look at your shadow. So how the shadow works is, and I'm not an expert on any of this, I am just using my own examples of how I noticed I was doing things in my life. So I thought I was processing well. I thought I was moving along forward well. I thought everything was great, but I kept meeting the same guy, the same person, the same energy, which means I was attracting that person towards me because I was ignoring my shadow. I was ignoring those things. We put anything we don't want to look at gets put in the shadow. We can call it a closet. We can call it a rug. Anything that we don't want to look at goes there. And it just starts accumulating. And then every person we meet has that shadow aspect in them. Because it's a part of ourselves that we're neglecting to witness. We're neglecting to see it. We're renouncing it as an emotion that we carry. Even though, as a human soul, we're here to experience every emotion. Why do we label some emotions good and some emotions bad? If we're allowed to experience every emotion, if we come to Earth to experience all of it, why, when people have the hard ones, the lower density energies, why are those considered bad? Because it makes you feel a certain way when somebody else is showing their sacred rage, they're allowed to have that. They're allowed to have that for their family line. They're allowed to express that for their lineage that has been bound for millennia from speaking their truths. Every time we have a death process, there is a new version of us that is reborn. This means we are allowed to decide how we want to move in the world after we untangle from this massive. So the death card comes after the Hanged Man. So we've gained a new perspective, and then it's time to release and transform. You've gained your wings. You can have a higher perspective at any given time if you choose to move in a different direction. And if you don't choose to move in a different direction, the universe is going to throw you out of the situation that you find yourself in time and time again. Is there an advice card? Can I have a shadow advice card? Heal your broken heart. Heal your brokenheartedness, pain, suffering, and depressing thoughts. And it's coming in the subconscious mind. So, what is being held on to is the idea of they did it to me. They did it to me. They did it to me. But didn't you hear me say, I called that to myself by having a shadow aspect of it. So if you have a shadow or an unconscious program of brokenheartedness, every single person you find in life is going to reflect towards you an energy of brokenheartedness. Now, once you go through your shadow work and you heal that and you make amends with the fact that you've also caused the suffering, you can move in a different way. I have the Page of Pentacles on the bottom and the woundedness. The Nine of Wands. Now for me, the Page of Pentacles is somebody whom I used to be, the past version of myself. Someone who constructs something. These are in the conscious mind. And collaboration, emotional tie, and common interest. So it's saying to me, the emotional ties are saying that these are people that are bonded in a frequency of heartbreak with you. They have found comfort in your company because they carry the same woundings. I have the Nine of Swords right underneath that. 99. The Nine of Swords is wounded emotions, hostile thoughts. So this deck is a little bit different. That's why I wrote the answers on the meanings on the back. This frequency here is a disaster for being well. This is like a parasitic energy feeding off. You can see it a little bit better in the dark, in the subconscious. It's a parasitic energy feeding off your distress. And then this is an odd couple. This is an odd pairing, a bird and a fox, but they work well together because the bird can show the fox where the prey is going to be. They're on a boulder, which is like something that is immovable, right? But there's a previous version of yourself that's carrying something that's very heavy. That very heaviness is a heavy heart. Carrying the feelings of woundedness, the mental distortion of why you received such heartbreak, but this heartbreak comes from never allowing yourself to actually be loved. That was cut off. That was cut off long ago when you were in this Two of Swords energy. The Two of Swords and the Five of Swords is fighting that energy, combativeness, comparison, contrast, secret competition, feeling regret and remorse. The fives, they're hard. The five energy is not easy, and that when it's the five in the mind, nobody else knows that you're suffering. Nobody else knows that you feel this way because you're ashamed to show that you have these thoughts tied to these emotions, tied to these suppressed emotions. Okay. Oh, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I love you. Oh, it hurts. Okay. So that was a pretty in-depth reading for 4 cards. I know I sidetrack a little bit, but I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be explaining myself to others so they can have a new view of how they view themselves. The biggest takeout of this reading is that we are meant to be emotional creatures, and nobody is allowed to suppress their emotions or nobody is allowed to express their emotions because of how it makes other people feel. So we're being cut off from our own self to people please. We've been taught to people please. So this 13 and this 3 is a 16 in itself. This 16 and this 2 was the 18, and the 18 showed. The 18 showed with the 4, which is 22, which is a builder number. And this 9 and 9 is also another form of shadow, another form of 18. So there may be 3 different specific shadows that are looking to be rebuilt in a frequency of stability, with the 22 coming. The 22 is a master number, and it is the builder number, and it is building things with a strong foundation so that they don't crumble once you start stacking things on top of it. My name is April. I love you. I am available for personals. I'm available for Reiki. I am available for communicative guidance and wellness coach, able to bring you through the stages of addiction, all of my addictions. I've never received any counseling for my addictions. I just did everything myself. I just put the trust and faith inside my own being, and I went that way. I'm not saying that's the best way for everyone. I'm saying we as human beings are way stronger than we've been giving ourselves credit for. And once we put our mind to it, especially for a Taurus, success is the only outcome. I love you. Have a wonderful day. My email is aprilpelado@gmail.com.